So welcome everyone to the Hospitality Management and Hart School presentation for choices. Please go ahead and just get settled. Give us just a moment and we're probably going to give another minute or so for other folks to join the webinar. And we'll get started around 6:31. We're glad to have you here with us. All right, everybody. Thank you again for being here. So my name is Jen Nelson. I am the Career Development and Employer Engagement Coordinator for the Hart School of Hospitality, Sport, and Recreation Management at James Madison University. I am joined here by, I've got some great colleagues, Hannah Dillenbeck and Ruth O'Rourke, and a fantastic student who's also a colleague because he works for the Hart School, as well as being one of our Hart School ambassadors, Jake Abruzzo. And I'm going to go ahead and let the three of you all introduce yourselves.
Thanks, Jen. Like she just mentioned, my name is Hannah Dillenbeck. I am one of two academic advisors within the Hart School. So myself and my colleague, Sarah Hodges, we advise all students within hospitality management and sport and recreation management.
I'll go next. Good evening, everybody. This is Ruth O'Rourke. I'm one of the professors in the hospitality management. I teach in the junior year experience. I teach the hotel operations and the country club operations management course. I do other courses as well in the summertime. And I'm also a freshman first year advisor. And so this is exciting because if I'm one of two that is in the Hart School. We're dedicated just to making sure you're onboarding. Once you officially accept and choose JMU, which is what we're hoping for, you get turned over to me and then, or my colleague, and we will make sure that you're taken care of all the way up to springboard and then all the way talking to you about your roommate situation and move-in day. And then we're really excited to bring you to campus in August, and I work through your schedules with you, as well as getting you ready for your spring schedule of your second semester. Before then, I turn you over to Hannah and Sarah, as Hannah had mentioned earlier with our other colleague. So it's a team of four of us in your first year that really take care of you. And for a large school like ours, it's really nice because we really get to know you really well. And we work with Jen as well on speakers and the career fair, and this is just an exciting time. So thank you for taking the time tonight to be with us.
All right, and Jake.
I'm Jake. I am a junior hospitality management major, and like Jen said, I'm also a student employee for the Hart School. I work directly with Jen as her student assistant, and I post a lot of jobs that are available to our students in terms of internships and full-time and part-time jobs. I also help Jen plan our career fair, and last semester we had our first virtual career fair that was a huge success, and we're having our spring virtual career fair this March, and we already have, I believe, 46 or 47 employers registered, which is really awesome for a virtual career fair. I have a double minor in general business and entrepreneurship, so we'll get into this a little bit later, but all Hart School majors have to take the courses related to a general business minor, but I decided to add a second minor, entrepreneurship, because there was a lot of overlap between the classes, so it wasn't going to be a ton of extra classes for me, but I also thought the skills learned in those classes would be really beneficial since I might want to start my own business someday. I'll pass it back over to Jen.
Thanks everyone. As I mentioned before, I'm Jen Nelson. I'm the Career Development and Employer Engagement Coordinator. And that really just means that I work with employers to bring them to campus during non-COVID times, to sign them up for really every opportunity to network with students and to make sure that we have additional opportunities within the industries of hospitality management and sport and rec management, which is the other side of the Hart School. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and just introduce you all to the Hart School. So we are JMU's first and only named school. Back in 2016, GJ and his wife Heather, they endowed the Hart School with a $3.5 million donation. And a lot of that funding, the bulk of the funding really goes to supporting student experiences. So conferences, experiential learning, site visits, really making sure that our students have a strong connection to the industries that they're choosing to go into. We have about 1,000 students in the Hart School. We have about 430 or so on the hospitality side, and just about 500 or so on the sport and rec side. And then we also have a sport and leadership master's program. And so we've got 3 programs under the umbrella of the Hart School. I think a lot of students are thinking hospitality and sport and recreation, what's really the tie-in? The tie-in is people, and it's working with people, and it's being comfortable, working and putting yourself out there and working in industries where you're going to be dealing with a lot of external relations. So we do have facilities in 2 different locations on campus. We're located in Godwin Hall, which is where most of our classrooms are located. And then we also have the Hart School's kitchen is in Godwin. And then we also have a Hotel Madison. We have, okay, is it 2 or 3 classrooms, Ruth? I always get confused. It's 3. Okay, I don't know why, but I always get confused. And we also have a number of faculty offices. Ruth's office, of course, is over in Hotel Madison. And so we have a great relationship with the hotel, and our students are employed by the hotel, and then are able to sort of get that experience. So we really enjoy that relationship. And then we have about 20 faculty members between teaching faculty, and then as well as Hannah and myself. We're considered administrative professional faculty, and we're there to support our students and make sure that they're successful after they graduate. I didn't really explain who GJ Hart is, and that's kind of a big deal. So GJ, at the time of their donation, he was the CEO of California Pizza Kitchen. Prior to that, GJ was CEO of Texas Roadhouse, and he is currently the CEO of Torchy's Tacos, which is a fast-growing, fast casual restaurant chain, mostly out in the Midwest. We just found out in the last few months, however, I think that they're opening some locations in North Carolina and Virginia, which is really exciting. We're thrilled to have Torchy's on the West Coast, on the East Coast. I love Mexican food, so I'm very excited about this. So GJ is very well known in the hospitality industry and in the restaurant industry. Heather is an entrepreneur in her own right, owns several businesses, and they are incredibly active within the Hart School, speaking and making sure that they visit campus, and they're very in touch, making sure that our students have what they need to be successful. And that is their passion, is making sure that our students are successful. So this is who we are at the Hart School, our vision, mission, and values. We really believe in transformational education. We're very open, and we're a very friendly bunch. I think you'll find that, we like to say that we have an open door policy. So office hours, and we really make sure that our students are getting the assistance that they really need. And so we are here for you. And that's through, we really want to make sure that you're excelling in industry knowledge, and that you understand the ins and the outs of the industries that you're going into. And that is the key, is getting that knowledge to our young professionals so they're successful in their careers. And I think we have a great faculty, really dedicated faculty, who are there to assist. All right, so we're going to talk about all of these things during this presentation. We really want to make sure that our students have a broad understanding of the curriculum, and Hannah's going to go through that for us. We do have a business component that's required for our students, and we'll go into the business minor, and Hannah will explain the ins and the outs of that. Experiential learning is a hallmark of our program. Essentially what that means is getting experience in your chosen industry outside the classroom learning, and this is a big deal at the Hart School. And we want to make sure that our students have leadership opportunities, that they have travel and networking opportunities, and that they are ready, they go into their career ready to go. They have an understanding of the industry, and they feel confident in their knowledge of various aspects of the industry. Because again, as much as we tell our students, you might have your dream job after you graduate, or it might take you a job or two to make sure to break into that segment of the industry. So we want to make sure that you have all the expertise you need to break into the hospitality industry at the ground level. And then of course, our dedicated faculty, and we'll talk about that as well. All right, so I'm going to ask Hannah to go ahead and take our curriculum questions, or our curriculum information, and she'll explain everything, the ins and the outs of the Hart School hospitality curriculum.
Thanks, Jen. So within the Hart School, and specifically the hospitality management program at JMU, we just want to share with you a little bit about the classes that you will take if you decide to join us and study within the Hart School at JMU, which we certainly hope that you do. We have a very generalist curriculum, and what that means is we require students to take foundation courses. And for hospitality management, that is 3 initial courses that you'll take in your major. And that joins you within 2 of the 3 classes with your peers in the sport and recreation management program. So it's a great opportunity for you to hear from a variety of guest speakers throughout those classes, and you gain some more insight into careers in both industries. These classes really focus on leadership and ethics within the field of hospitality management. And then once you complete those foundation courses, you then move into and progress into your next major classes that you'll take. These classes focus really on key areas that we feel are important for management level careers after you graduate. And they include facilities and event management, sales and marketing, and human resources. So our faculty put a lot of thought and a lot of effort into designing the curriculum to really best prepare you to go into your industry after graduation.
And Ruth can talk about that as well.
Hi again. So at JMU, one of the things that is really appealing is that a lot of our students, sometimes they come in with transfer credits. You may have credits that you've done through AP courses. We really try to match what you've already taken to what our curriculum is. And so we really want you to start your classes at that foundational level in your freshman year as you start to build into your sophomore level, where we start to build your skill set. And really you then start to think, okay, can I see myself working in fast casual or food service or hospitality related, because you're now going to these career fairs, and you may secure an internship, let's say at Hershey Hotels, or you may want to have a Disney experience once Disney is back having summer interns throughout their program. And so for us, giving you that hands-on, that real kind of like that learning lab experience where you're in the kitchen, you're working with Aramark, you're hearing from guest speakers, you're having, we want you to have informational interviews. We really utilize here in Harrisonburg and the surrounding areas, our key partners. And when we're back up and going to field trips and taking you out, we have a huge Cisco plant that I know our faculty take you to, as well as country clubs and hotels and inns that are close by. So it's exciting to be a part of, because we really try to bring what we as industry professionals to the classroom through our storytelling, which then matches the foundational education that's in your textbooks and we're assessing you on, but then to give you that exposure. And that's what I would add to Hannah's comments earlier.
Thank you, Ruth. So moving into some helpful advising and planning tools that we make available to all students within the hospitality management major, we have here links to a major guide. So this really gives you an overview of the program, career opportunities that you can look at. And we even have mapped out kind of a loose 4-year plan that you can use to schedule the classes that you'll need to take in order to graduate from JMU. And then the link below is for our major planning worksheet that lists all of your required major and minor classes that you need to take in order to graduate. So these are also available. If you just Google search JMU Hart School advising, you'll be able to find a direct link to these planning worksheets. So they're very helpful in preparing you to plan each semester when you register for your classes. And that's part of what Ruth or your other first year advisor, as well as myself or Sarah Hodges, can help you with. We are really here dedicated to help support you and help you succeed as a hospitality management student at JMU. And so I know that there has been a little bit of mention about the general business minor. We do require all hospitality management and sport and recreation management students to complete this core group of classes. And it consists of these 6 classes right here that are mentioned. It's microeconomics, computer information systems, accounting, finance, and marketing and management. So as long as you maintain an overall GPA of 2.0 among these classes, you will graduate with the general business minor on your diploma. So you might be wondering, why a minor in business? We really feel within the Hart School that this is an important aspect that will set you apart from your peers who are going into similar jobs within the industry of hospitality management. And it really makes you competitive within the job market. I think employers have given us feedback previously that they really valued that we offered this minor and required this minor of our students.
I was muted. Sorry about that, guys. So I'm going to ask Ruth to take this question. Obviously, we have everything. We have a lot of areas listed within hospitality, but Ruth is going to talk to you just about some of the sort of unknown aspects of hospitality besides hotels and restaurants.
Thank you, Jen. So Jen mentioned, right, and you may think, okay, hospitality management, what is all encompassing? And I'm really surprised at how much our students are thoughtful. We have a group that really know what they want to do, and we have students that are still exploring. It's a very large industry. Even though we're going through currently a global pandemic, I'm going to tell you right now, what's your choice of coming to and studying hospitality management now, while we're in the midst of it. By the time you're primed and ready for your first internship, your second summer internship, which is an actual class that you earn credit for here within our program. And then when we get you ready for your graduation and into your career, you're primed, because our industry is going to be flourishing. There are jobs that we don't know today, the title or what you might be doing, that we're going to be getting you ready for when you graduate, because that's what happens during something like as devastating as the pandemic has been to our industry. So I'm really excited to see what happens and what comes. And with that comes this bullet point list that Jen has on the screen, but also other jobs. It could be corporate. It could be a variation of, I don't think a Target, a Walmart ever thought that they were going to be a grocery store, right? And competing with our Martins, our Krogers, our Safeway, our big giants of the world. And so that, evolutionized, who they are and who they become, or are specialized in like a Whole Foods or Trader Joe's as far as the grocery store. So we have students that go into that area. Definitely the event side, but you have to think event management is so vast, because we have hospitality students that do events for sporting teams. And then we have sport and rec students that actually work in country clubs or work in resorts, because there's a need to have that major in those disciplines and within our hospitality world. So we have our healthcare. We have other parts, the theme parks, Cedar Point, and we have here in Williamsburg, we have a very large theme park there. We have other themed resorts like a Great Wolf Lodge that come and recruit for us. So it's interesting when you're here, because you may think, okay, when you look at the second to last, residential property management, but we have a good number of very nationally known residential property management companies that come and recruit. We also have, like I said, corporations like a CVET or an Eco Lab, Marriott, Hilton, Choice Hotels. Their headquarters are in Washington, right outside Washington, D.C. Association Management, which they do events, even if they're hybrid or on Zoom, like on, a virtual event that they're playing now. So even in our event classes being reinvented by Teresa Lynn, who's our event professor, because we have to prepare you for what that world would look like in a hybrid or in a virtual event, space, and not in a typical, 1,000 room ballroom kind of event. And so we're ever changing, but I think this is an exciting time to choose this major. Jen, back to you.
Thank you. Absolutely. And I'm going to ask Jake to jump in for just a quick 60 seconds to talk about the experience that you just had with your virtual conference that you hosted last week with was it an internship, I think, that you had with them?
Yes, it was an internship. I had the opportunity to intern with Habitat for Humanity International, and I planned their annual legislative conference. This was the first year it was virtual. And it was a really amazing opportunity to get that hands-on experience planning a virtual conference and talking about, at the end of it, what's it going to look like next year? Are we going to be able to do a hybrid or fully in person? They almost doubled their registration this year, so they definitely want to keep it partially virtual, since that did bring in a much larger registration base. But it was an amazing opportunity, and I wouldn't have had it without the resources that the Hart School gave me to get that position.
Thanks, Jake. We just had a question come in asking about whether or not our students are prepared to go into wedding planning. I would say that's one aspect of the planning industry, of the events industry. We don't train you specifically for every single aspect within the events industry. It's mostly that you are given training in budgeting and in management and in all of the different aspects of event planning, and that you can really apply to every single aspect or every different subset of the events industry. And then students, if they have an interest in weddings or conferences or conference planning, then they have that opportunity to go out and seek out internships in those areas as well. But yeah, you are trained in your event classes to really take on all of the different aspects of events. And Jake, you've taken those classes. And so what are the things that you really talk about in those event classes?
Yeah, I was just I'm actually currently taking the events class, and the professor does an amazing job of making it super comprehensive. She always says that she could teach, like 7 different classes on the topic because it's such a broad range, but she's done a really good job of creating a curriculum that is applicable to almost every type of event, and helps you really realize all the logistics and things that go into it. And so you do a very large comprehensive project in which you plan a fake event, and you are looking at all of those details that you would for a wedding or a forum or a conference. And so it really prepares you and gives you an awesome taste of what the industry is like.
Exactly.
Jen, can I touch on that for just 1 second?
Yeah, you sure can.
Okay, so specifically for wedding planning, I know students that have gone to bridal shops and done internships. They've gone to catering companies, because catering companies may, even though they may have big or small events, they may be able to get the information that they need and the experience they need, the hands-on, to build upon that. I'm an advocate for kind of private country clubs, because that's the student org that I'm a professor and I'm a faculty advisor for, which I know Jen will talk about that in a little bit. But when we know, and when you know what you want, we as faculty, Jen, Jake in the office, we're all working towards making sure you can get as much exposure in that specific sector, but also we want you to round out, so that way you can say, okay, I know I want events, but we might say, okay, we think you should do corporate, just so you have that experience to say, okay, I definitely know I don't want corporate, I really want to deal with weddings. And so what better setting than a country club or in a hotel. So we're here to help you and support what it is that you want, but we also might push you into taking a job or to at least do an informational interview with somebody that may not be in that specific space, just so you can say, okay, at least I know that's not what I want.
Yeah, and that's a great segue into talking about why experiential learning is such an important part of what we do at the Hart School. So my role is really to connect students to opportunities to network and to just get experience within their chosen industries. So that's through conference attendance, networking, working all kinds of industry events, and then site visits, sometimes with clubs and organizations, sometimes with classes. It just really depends on sort of the experience itself. But we offer 2 career fairs per year, 1 per semester. Our spring career fair is next Wednesday. Yeah, it's very close. It's getting down to the line. Lots of work to do on that. But then I also offer career and internship advising, resume and cover letter reviews, and then interview preparation. Really everything that we feel like our students need to be successful here at the Hart School and then also beyond. So these photos were taken at our February 2020 career fair, our last in-person career fair. We had a virtual career fair back in October, and we have another one next week. And we really rely on our industry employers to come back to campus. You might see some purple stickers on some of these folks, and these are our Hart School alums, JMU alums, who are back to recruit fellow Dukes for the hospitality industry and sport and rec industry. This is not just for juniors who are looking for internships and seniors who are looking for jobs. We recommend that students start their freshman year and they show up to this internship. I'm sorry, they show up to this career and internship fair. They have professional dress, and you really start exposing to yourselves to the different aspects of the industry as early as possible. The industry opportunities within hospitality are truly endless. As Ruth was talking about earlier, there are you can go into marketing within hospitality, you can go into management within hospitality, all events and all the different segue industries. It really is absolutely endless. And this career fair is a great way for you to come and start exploring what your interests might be. A lot of our students come into the program and they're very streamlined. They're thinking events, restaurants, and hotels. And what our faculty work very hard to do throughout the academic year is to expand your horizons, right? So that you're not looking like this, and you're really looking at all the different opportunities. And the career fair is an important part of this. We have resorts, we have all kinds of organizations who many of our students have never really thought about working for. But this career fair gives you the opportunity to actually, when we go back in person, you'll be able to shake someone's hand. Now you'll be able to virtually shake someone's hand at the career fair. You'll be able to see a recruiter through a camera, just like I'm speaking to you all now, and you'll be able to get that experience. It's a great opportunity. A lot of the funding that the Hart's provided to the Hart School really goes towards conference attendance, and most of our student organizations are affiliated with a larger national or international organization. And they offer all kinds of professional development opportunities. When we are back in person, and conferences and site visits are really something that we are advocating for, there are opportunities really on a monthly basis for our students to interact with employers, to make site visits to everywhere from like the DC area to like the New York City area. All kinds of fantastic opportunities to network. I know that network is a scary word for a lot of students, but that really is just an opportunity for you to see someone smile, shake their hand, and make a connection. And someone maybe take a card, and you can maybe email them a few months down the line and stay in touch. So these are listed down below are some of the conferences that our students attend on a yearly basis. And of course, the Women's Food Service Forum, this was from, I think, 2 years ago. And of course, there's a pretty famous lady right there in the middle. Michelle Obama was the keynote speaker for the Women's Food Service Forum that year. And that was a pretty cool opportunity for our students to get to know and get to meet her. And we do have another picture somewhere of her doing the JMU Dukes cheer, which was kind of fun. And that was just a great opportunity for our students. So let's talk a little bit about industry hours, because Jake talked a little bit about taking on an internship. But our students on the hospitality side will come out with their degree, not just with your classes, but you have 1,000 hours of industry experience. And this is incredibly important. 600 of these hours are done on your own and must be done by the end of your second semester junior year, in time for you to take on your hospitality internship. You do work for Aramark, the dining within the dining halls as a part of one of your classes, HM 212, Hospitality Prowess, and those 100 hours do go towards your 600 hours. But be thinking about how am I going to be able to gain those 500 hours of industry experience on my own? And the answer is really anything. Working in restaurants and hotels, working if you're from the Richmond area, we just started a great relationship with King's Dominion. Working for King's Dominion one summer was a great way to do that. That's resorts and tourism. You can start gaining these hours right after you graduate high school, and you really just kind of keep a log of the hours that you've done. It doesn't have to be 22.2 hours this week. You can say I did 23 hours this week. You can round up a little bit, but we really just want to make sure that you're keeping that log, and you'll turn that log into our internship coordinator on the hospitality side, Reg Fukarsaki, your second semester junior year. And the reason that we want you to have these experiences under your belt, one reason and one reason alone. It's because you are going to be more competitive for the competitive internships if you have hospitality experience already. If you have no hospitality experience whatsoever, you're just not going to be competitive for the Marriott internships and the Disney internships and the really cool opportunities that are out there. We want you to experience different aspects of the industry so that you know. For example, Jake is passionate about events, okay? But I have students who come to me who say they're passionate about events, but they have no event planning experience. And then they try it and they think, oh man, this is hard. This is not all rainbows and butterflies. It's hard work. It's hauling around boxes. It's really staying on top of details. It's dealing with very vocal brides and personalities, right? So it's different than what I thought it was. Maybe event planning isn't for me. Maybe I should try hotels. Maybe I should try property management. So these 600 hours that you're gaining on your own, it allows you to dip your toe into various aspects of the industry in a way that helps you build towards what your ultimate goal should be, which is getting an internship in the area that you really think that you have a vested interest in getting a job in after you graduate. And then, of course, after your junior year, you're going to be doing a 400-hour internship, and this is for academic credit. And this is essentially 40 hours a week for a 10-week summer. I tell students you're going to be doing 40 plus hours a week. Some of these places might have you working a little bit more. You might be working weekends. You might be working until 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. We want you to have an idea as to what the hospitality industry is after you graduate. And we want you to get that experience physically, in your internship. The internship is incredibly important because I think the number is 60 or 65% of our students receive a job offer from their internship experience. And so we really want to make sure this internship is required and that the 600 hours that you're doing previous to that are leading you to a good experience. So Jake has had, I think at this point, at least 3 internships. Would you just take a second, Jake, and talk about your internship experience and what you've learned about yourself through the process?
Of course, yes. So like Jen said, I'm very passionate about events, but I knew coming into JMU that it was a well-rounded curriculum that was going to kind of touch on a lot of the aspects in the industry. And so I came in with an open mind, and I intentionally looked for a food and beverage related job after my freshman year because I was cognizant that food and beverage is within every single event. Less so now that we're doing a lot of virtual events, but it's still there in a lot of aspects. And so I thought it was important to know how that piece of events and piece of the industry worked if I was going to be working closely with caterers and wait staff and kitchen staff. So that was important to me. And I've learned through that I personally do not love food and beverage work itself. But it was super important for me to realize that so that I didn't pursue more internships within that industry. So that was helpful for me to learn early on. And then I've done a couple shorter event internships. I worked a week-long conference in Indianapolis that had roughly 4,000 attendees for what's called the National Postal Forum, that deals with a lot of the companies in the mailing industry. And so that was a really cool experience to see a more businessy side of an event that wasn't a wedding, and you know, learn about some of the similarities and differences between an event like that and a wedding, because I worked with a wedding planning company in high school and was pretty familiar with those. And then I just did the internship I talked about already with Habitat for Humanity, which was again another event planning internship, but different because it was virtual. So it was a really amazing experience that way. So I would just say, come in with an open mind, try to be a well-rounded student while also thinking about what's going to benefit you in the goals that you have within the industry.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jake. All right, I'm trying to turn my camera back on here. So he touched on pretty much everything that I really wanted him to. You really want to make sure that you are exploring what you think you have an interest in, and building on those experiences, that it's going to end in really the culminating internship experience. It's going to help you get a great job. And that's something that we really like to tell students is, I like to tell people to, begin with the end in mind, be really intentional. If you think that you want to go into marketing within hospitality, then seek out marketing experiences. You really want to make sure that you're building your resume to craft the type of career and the type of job that you'd like to take after you graduate. If you have an interest in food and beverage, then you probably want to get some food and beverage experience. You want to work from the ground level up, waiting tables, being a host or a hostess in a restaurant, making sure that you have all of those aspects of the industry under your belt so that you can manage folks one day, because that's what we're educating you to be: managers, event managers, food and beverage managers, all kinds of things within the hospitality industry, general managers for a hotel and for a country club. We want to make sure that you have all of those skills. Even if you one day become a GM for a very large resort, the fact that you took Tassie Pippert's culinary class, you're going to have to hire chefs, and you're going to have to, talk to chefs and deal with ordering issues and equipment malfunctions. So you're going to be really grateful that you have that culinary background. Because you're going to be using it on a daily basis, because the folks that you supervise are dealing with that aspect of the industry, and it's going to become a part of your world, even though it might not be something that you deal with every aspect of every single day. So Ruth mentioned Country Club, Country Club Managers Association of America. She is the advisor for that organization. And I took these pictures from their Instagram feed because they were just so much fun. And they really, CMAA especially does a great job in really exposing our students to all kinds of different opportunities. And I know that, and I'd like Ruth to talk about that very quickly, and then Jake as well, because he is an officer in PCMA, which is our event planning organization.
Thanks, Jen. Okay, so part of the essence of the Hart School is how do you get involved? Whether it be within the Hart School, and these are the student organizations you can be a part of, or whether it be JMU as a whole that has a whole host of, we have so many students that are involved. Relay for Life is a huge fundraiser. JMU raises so much money. It's going to be this next coming up April, where the actual event will be held. It's actually a virtual this year, but there's opportunities for Greek life, whatever it may be that you want to get involved in. But these are the clubs that are housed within the Hart School. And I happen to be, and I'm honored to be an advisor for the Club Managers Association, which is listed first. The opportunity students have to be with club managers, like hands-on networking. And I'll give you an example. Our immediate past president, she just graduated this past December. She happened to be at a student leadership conference in New England 2 years ago. And one of the incoming president of our actual organization, he is the general manager at Myers Park Country Club in Charlotte, North Carolina. In his speech, he mentioned how he's actually an introvert. Even though he's the general manager of a major private club in Charlotte, North Carolina, even though he's the incoming president of few thousand member, professional organization and deals with people on a daily basis, his board of directors, his members, his associates, his vendors that he deals with, the public facing. He's an actual introvert, and they connected on that. He then, for the next 2 years, became her mentor.
All right. Looks like Ruth's internet.
Sorry,
Right, Ruth.
am I frozen?
You were frozen for a little bit, so I'm going to go to Jake for a second and have him talk about PCMA.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Be back. All right.
Ruth's internet Ruth never went out for me. She was good for me the whole time.
Oh, she was?
Yeah.
Okay. Gotta love virtual guys. Well,
I'll let you finish, Ruth.
So let's turn things over to Jake to talk about PCMA.
Okay. So yeah, I am the External Affairs Chair for PCMA, which means I am in contact with our capital chapter, or our parent chapter, which is the capital chapter based on where we are in the world. And I work with them and other professionals in the industry to try and get speakers to come to our general body meetings to talk about their sector of the industry and, how to be prepared for it, how to be successful, and just set yourself up. So last semester we had someone come in from property management. We had a wedding planner talk, and we had someone else who I can't remember off the top of my head come and talk. This semester we had someone who started her own catering company come. We have someone coming from an association that's going to come and talk, and we might have someone come from, my boss from Habitat for Humanity might come and talk about nonprofits. So we try and get a very broad group of people to come and speak, but we also, are still focusing a little bit on events and all of the, ins and outs of that. But there are multiple facets within events, so trying to focus on that as well. And then I'll just say, I'm also in ESD, and I was in CMAA. I was actually fundraising chair for CMAA for a while. And that's an amazing organization. I've met a ton of industry professionals and other students there. I went to one of their conferences. I just went to PCMA's conference. And I'm in ESD, which is the HM Honor Society. And that is an awesome way to work on professional development and get some of those business skills. And then lastly, I'll say, if there's time, that if there's something you're passionate about and you don't see an organization for it on this list, doesn't mean it's not there, and it also doesn't mean you can't create it. The third one from the bottom there, Sigma Rho Mu, was very recently created by an SRM major, I believe Tyler, correct, Jen?
Yep.
And he created that, and he's been amazing. They've done a lot, and there are other organizations like Ruth was saying on campus that still have hospitality related aspects that you can get involved with as well. So I would say, try and get involved where you can, but don't feel like you have to be limited to this list, even though it is an amazing group of organizations.
Absolutely. And I'll just add that Women in Sport and Recreation was also, I believe that Sigma Rho Mu and Women in Sport and Rec were established right around the same time, about a year ago, right around this time last year. So maybe a semester before that. Really great organizations. All right, so we talked a lot about site visits and putting you out there with employers. And the reason that we can do that is because we trust our students and we are working with you to cultivate a professional image. It's really important that whenever you come to class and that whenever you come to campus next year, you have professional clothing, suits, ties, professional clothing, really as pictured here, because whenever you are introduced to folks at conferences and whenever they come and speak in class, we want you to come across as a young professional. We don't want you to have holey jeans and ripped sweatshirts. We want you to be seen by our speakers and by our industry professionals as someone that they could hire to work in their professional organization that summer. It's a really great opportunity that we do provide you all to have all the speakers, and that's why we really want to make sure that you are properly attired so that people are seeing you in the best possible professional light. And so these are just some of the opportunities that our hospitality students are able to do within their, I'm sorry, not within the classroom, outside the classroom. These are all kinds of experiential trips. So the Wine and Cultures is actually a class. We kind of call this study abroad class because California is so far away, but that is an opportunity that is offered every summer, every Maymester, where students will fly out to California. They are staying in the Napa Valley, and they're learning about wineries and the business, the business that is such a booming business, to learn, really about the business side, marketing and management, and growing grapes, and cultivation of new wine products within the area, and then the events that they host at wineries, right? Again, a winery is a great example of sort of every aspect of the hospitality industry, kind of all thrown together. And you learn, how to nationally market these products. It's a pretty great opportunity. I think there also are cooking classes, and that they start working towards taking some basic part of their sommelier courses, I believe. And then the hotel experience is a yearly opportunity in New York City, and you're visiting. We've got all kinds of alums who are in this area as well. So there are all kinds of opportunities to network with JMU alums working in hospitality in the New York, New Jersey area, touring facilities, meeting with folks who are managing these opportunities, and then just learning about industry trends. This is a really big deal, guys. This is a great trip. This is where you learn about the newest, the greatest, up and coming trends in the hospitality hotel industry. And then the flip side is the National Restaurant Show, which is every May, I believe. And that's essentially everything I said for the hotel show. It's the exact same thing for the restaurant business. So this is sort of the newest, latest, greatest technology, really the cool things that are happening in the food and beverage industry and the restaurant industry. You're meeting with alums and you're meeting with industry professionals who are really going to share with you tips on how they've gotten where they are. And it's a pretty awesome opportunity for our students. And I believe was it last year's National Restaurant Show or the year before that? Was GJ given an award, I believe, or was that a different hospitality food and beverage event?
I think it was the year before.
Okay. So yeah, there are all kinds of opportunities, and it's really just endless. It was hard to find things just for one slide to fit on the slide.
One more note, Jen.
Sure.
Because employers know that faculty are traveling with students, employers are there. And so there's an added advantage to traveling and saving money, helping the student orgs fundraise. The Hart School can't, GJ is very generous. He can't fund every single person. So the student orgs do a lot of fundraising. So you'll come away with a lot of JMU logoed apparel or Hart School apparel, because we're all fundraising to be able to travel. Thanks, Jen.
Absolutely. So I'm actually going to ask Jake to talk a little bit about the Florence program, because he was a part of that program last spring.
Gladly. Florence has a very special place in my heart. I had the opportunity to go for last spring semester. If you're doing some mental date math in your head, you might be thinking that was when the coronavirus hit. I was sent home 2 months early, but I have no regrets. I would do it all again. It was an amazing experience. I was able to take 2 classes for my major and 2 classes for my minor while I was there, which was awesome. So if you go during the semester, you go for 4 months. If you go during the summer, I believe it's 8 weeks. And it's just an amazing opportunity to get to experience the different culture there and learn about, you take a cooking class and a wine class if you're hospitality students. So learning about those 2 things, which are a huge part of the culture in Italy. It was just a really amazing experience. They offer a lot of scholarships too. So if that's something you're worried about while studying abroad, the Center for Global Engagement offers scholarships, as well as there are a lot of other organizations. So I wouldn't let that stop you. But I would also recommend you plan ahead. If this is something that appeals to you, think about that now, or once you've committed to JMU, because there are only a certain amount of classes that are offered abroad, and you don't want to take those classes prior. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense to take those classes again. But you want to have classes to take while you're there. Otherwise, I don't think you can go. But so I would think about it, if it's something that interests you, schedule an appointment with Hannah or Sarah, the academic advisors, to talk about the classes you should hold off on and some of the logistics regarding that. But it was an amazing experience. I had made some amazing friends and learned so much about myself and the world that I wouldn't trade it for anything.
And Jen, I will say that Jake is absolutely right. As an advisor, plan early. You can still do study abroad and graduate in 4 years. You can still do Disney program and still graduate in 4 years. So but it does take a lot of planning and talking it through with your advisors.
Yes, and I was going to say the same thing. This is when you would schedule an appointment with Ruth or with Hannah and our other advisor, Hannah and Sarah, just to make sure that you're planning correctly, just to make sure you're on track, because they'll generally know what classes are offered in the spring versus the fall, and they'll help you be able to plan. And that's really the best productive, proactive way that you can make sure that you can accomplish everything, because 4 years of college sounds like it's forever, but it's going to go by very quickly. I remember meeting Jake when he was a freshman. I feel like it was 6 months ago. It was 3 years ago. So absolutely crazy. It just goes by so fast. So this is just going to give you an idea of the success rate of our students. So 6 months outside of graduation, our 97% of our students are employed, continuing education, or engaged in other career-related industry opportunities like internships and things of that nature. 88% employed full-time, 1% seeking, 3% are doing an additional internship that they found that they thought would really add to their resume, and then 6% are attending some type of continuing education, most likely a graduate program in hospitality or an MBA or something of that nature. And this is just an idea of what our students are doing after they graduate. Who do they work for? What aspects of the industry are they really being hired into? Bozzuto is property management. We talked about that a little bit. That is one of our very fast growing aspects of the industry that I think we have 4, possibly 5 property management companies that are going to be attending the career fair. And that's one of our largest, most quickly expanding aspects of the industry. They love that our students have such a great background in working with people and customer service and all of those transferable skills. But these are sort of where this is just a snapshot, of course, but this is where our alums are working, everywhere from hotels and restaurants to fast casual restaurant chains, managing those areas, working for country clubs and city clubs, and then cruise lines. That's another aspect of our industry as well. So just kind of gives you an idea of where they're located. And if you are not following us on social media, I would really encourage you to do so. This is a great way for you to check out students and what our students are doing, the trips that they're taking. Again, everything is virtual right now, but they're doing a lot of takeovers of these virtual events. You'll be able to see the opportunities that they do have. And then historically, you can go back 6 months or a year and you can see some of the in-person events that they were doing. The student organizations are still meeting, and they're still having speakers, and they're still having site visits virtually and things of that nature. So really want to make sure that you are getting all that information. And I see that we've had some questions come through. And I want to make sure that those are getting answered live if possible. Oh, thank you, Ruth. Wonderful. So panelists and attendees. So Ruth O'Rourke dropped her information, her email address in the chat, which is super helpful. I'll drop mine in there as well. But this is really your opportunity to ask questions. So if you guys want to drop those questions into the Q&A box, we will answer them while we're right here. You have us at your beck and call, and we'd love to make sure that you're getting all of those questions answered. We had one question asking earlier if GJ Hart is a JMU alum, and he is a JMU alum. That's a great question. And then we addressed the wedding planning question in the live discussion. Panelists, are there any aspects that we didn't touch on during the presentation that you really want to make sure our prospective students and parents are getting?
I'll add
Just
something real quick. Oh, go ahead, Ruth.
I was going to say, I'm one of the newest faculty members, and just like you, I chose to be here for a very specific reason, for students like Jake, for colleagues like Jen and Hannah, for the support that we get from President Alger on down, that we are supported as faculty, for us to be in the classroom with you. It's hard to be virtual because we are hospitality and we want to be in person. And so I just want you to know that we're committed to making sure you get the best of the best. And it's from product in the kitchen to the knowledge, to the textbooks we choose, to the examples, to the speakers that we choose to bring to campus and to bring to you for networking purposes. And I hope you decide to choose us, and any of us would be more than willing to have off this particular conversations. That's why I was first to put my email in there, because I'm more than willing to talk to you about any question that you might have, or and I'm just happy to be part of tonight's conversation. And I hope you mindfully look at all your options, but in the end, we bleed purple here, so go Dukes.
Absolutely. And we actually had 2 questions come into the Q&A about virtual or in-person classes this semester. And so the technical complex answer to that question is both. We have classes that are virtual and we have classes that are in person. And I'm going to turn that over to Ruth, because she is our faculty member who can answer that specifically.
Thank you, Jen. So we made a conscientious decision as a department. Our department head asked each one of us, what do you feel comfortable with? Some faculty members, for whatever reason, can
I think Ruth is frozen right now.
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
Sorry.
Oh, I think you're back.
Okay.
I
was just saying, our faculty member who's in the kitchen, she actually broke her class down even into more sections so she could feel safe. She only has one kitchen assistant with her. So we're all doing what we can to be safe. I'm 100,000% so proud of everybody at JMU, the community at large, because we've kept our COVID numbers down. Everyone's been safe. Everyone's masked up. Everyone's social distancing, staying where they can be to be safe, considering we've had Super Bowl, we've had major things happen. We have Lunar New Year for those that celebrate that. So everyone's been really good this semester to keep COVID numbers really low.
But since Ruth did break up during part of that, our classes, some of them are 100% virtual, some of them are in person, but are broken down to smaller units. And then some of them are sort of like a combination. So for some of the larger classes, what will happen is they will break that into, if it's a Monday, Wednesday, Friday class, Ruth, if she's the faculty member of record, she'll meet with half the class on Mondays, half the class on Wednesdays, and then on Friday, maybe there's a virtual component where everyone gets together, or there's a project. Maybe students are doing presentations on that day, or they have videos they have to watch, or they're, all kinds of different aspects. But we have many classes that are in person. I actually spoke in a class. I had to speak virtually, so I was the virtual person, because in about 15 minutes after I spoke in that class, I had to be here with you all. So there's no way that I could have been in 2 places at once. And so in that aspect, Zoom has become very helpful. It helps you become more mobile. And somebody asked a great question about how many students are in the major. So we have probably about 430 to 450 hospitality students right now, I believe.
It's
somewhere in that range.
Slightly more students in the sport and recreation management program, but yes, over 400.
Yeah, we're just around, I think, 1,020 students, and that is in our 3 programs. There are about 35 students in the sport and recreation leadership master's program, probably right around 450 SRM probably closer to 500 SRM students on the sport and rec side, and then probably 420 or 430 hospitality. But it's a really great mix, and the crossover is phenomenal. We're taking a group of students to a PGA tour event next semester. That's actually going to be a trip with hospitality and sport and recreation students, because guess what? PGA tournaments are planned by event planners. And so that's going to be a really great trip where we're able to take students from both majors and really teach them about aspects of both of their industries in one trip. Any
Hey,
other
Jen,
questions, guys? Really good ones.
Did you answer the question about what next semester is looking like
Oh, I didn't.
in
Thank you,
regards to
Jake.
in-person versus virtual?
So what we are planning for in-person in the fall semester. That is what we've been told. We are planning to be in person in the fall. Of course, the governor is really the person who's ultimately in charge and telling us what we are and what we aren't allowed to do. But we are all hoping to be in person. I think we're all longing for the days where we can walk next to each other and walk into someone's office and say hello and be in class and see students coming and going from class. But we're planning for in person. That is the idea. That is our hope. Do you guys, that's what we talked about in our last faculty meeting, at least. Do you all have any additional information? Am I explaining that correctly?
Yes, I would just add to that, Jen, that that we are in fact optimistic that we will be back to in-person for the fall semester. And of course, the university will be taking measures to make sure that students, faculty, and staff just remain safe and follow the guidelines that they're supposed to be following. So yeah, we really hope to see you all in the fall semester in person. Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jake. I think I glanced at that and saw the virtual and was thinking it was the same question I already answered. So, all right. Well, we're going on, and this has been 1 hour. So great questions. I'm going to go ahead and say one last opportunity to ask questions while we are here and we're at your disposal, because we'd love to make sure you get all your questions answered. We did drop our email addresses in the chat feature. You can definitely reach out to us after this presentation if you're feeling shy and you don't want to ask your question in the chat feature. But we can't wait to meet you all. And I mentioned this before, but follow us on social media pages. Facebook is a combined hospitality and sport and recreation page. Twitter and Instagram are major specific. So you'll want to go ahead and follow the hospitality page and the sport and recreation page separately. And then check out our website at Hart School at jmu.edu/Hart School. And that's a great way to get some additional information about our programs, our events, all kinds of advising resources. And you can just take a look and see what our students are doing on a daily, weekly basis. But thank you all for joining us. It's been a pleasure. And go Dukes.
Thanks. Go Dukes.
Guys.
Great job, team.
All right.
That went
Yeah,
well.
great job.
This is the Fab Four right here. At one point I said to Jen, I'm sorry, so chatty.